Alright, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the cave level demo. I'll go ahead and play to start us off. So what I'm thinking of doing is just doing a playthrough, and then I'll demo the swimming system, or at least I'll show you the animation blueprints for that. So right off, start off submerged. And yep, so these cave walls were built originally in Maya, and then then sculpted in ZBrush, and then exported as SVX files. So I have water zones happening with post-process volumes with kind of like a blue light scattering, so it looks different when you submerge yourself. As you can tell, there's sound. So I have ambience with kind of like an guttural Tibetan monk chant that I found. And then I found an ambient kind of like wind whooshing sound on freesounds.com. And yeah, and then I think I have like a cave water dripping sound also. It's really quiet. So yeah, all of the stalagmites, stalactites were made using a snake hook in ZBrush, just pulling those all out manually. Then the decals, you can see those were taken from actually like a Tibetan museum website, and made PNG files out of them and decals on the walls. So some of these rock assets here are actually from Quixelbridge. So I kind of scaled and arranged them in a way that would make sense. So I'll go ahead and submerge myself in. You can tell the light definitely scatters a lot more underwater. So I got some clay pots here, candles. Kind of a creepy feel with the spotlight. I'll just continue on. So there's actually two paths you can go. Or you can go that way, which is actually a little bit more of a direct path for the lava, which is like the final room. But I'm going to go the long way because I like this way. Place like this would be, well, all of these would be objects you would identify and scan, including this. So pretty much anything you come across you can choose to scan. That would be the idea of the game, and then you can just document it in your journal. So I definitely want to have kind of like an archaeology spin on this, kind of taking into my background in archaeology. So yeah, and then the material I actually also found on Quixel, and made a master material and kind of tweaked the colors and the scale of the material a little bit to fit it well. I think it works pretty well. So yeah, and then here you can see the water caustics really at work on the ceiling. So that's what you'll see on the floor. So it's a water caustics material. It made an instance out of it, and then you would basically attach it to a spotlight. And I think I have like 6 spotlights going on, pointing up and pointing down to project the painting water texture, or the acoustics texture, which is really just a mask. And then it makes that really neat effect. And then I actually just have like an area light outside that looks a lot like, looks like you're kind of looking through haze at the moon, and you can see the kind of light just pouring inside. meditating, watching the skylight, and just devoted themselves. Alright, so I'll kind of make my way across. Caught a little bit there, and you can tell that water splash sound triggered multiple times if I'm right on the cusp of entering the water, which I'd like to figure out a way with meta sounds so that it maybe triggers once every X number of seconds, so you don't have those crazy overlaps. So I can definitely tweak on that. There's another campfire here. So with this post-process volume, I have just like really mild film grain going on. I think I just have like a pretty 35 millimeter focal length. Then I got some atmospheric haze, fog effect, just so that the light kind of scatters a little bit and kind of adds a little bit more mystical quality to it. As I was mentioning before, I'd like some areas here where you maybe come across bats that would kind of scatter and flee and kind of maybe have a little scare moment, jump scare. Yeah, so here's kind of a little creepy section here. Another person who passed away with one of the Tibetan deities here. I wish I remembered all the names of them. I think this is Mahakali, or Mahakala, the husband of Kali, which, if you remember from the Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, is like, goddess of destruction. So that's her husband. Right. So here we're at the lava room. So here I actually have more frescoes of Mahakala on the walls, including some people who think they, I don't know, it didn't seem like they wanted to die. they died probably from, exposure to dangerous gases, probably sulfuric acid and other hydrogen sulfide gases coming out of this. So yeah, I do want to have kind of a survival element to it. So your heads-up display would kind of say, well, your temperature reading's getting high, your oxygen levels are high, your acid, kind of like you're in like a smart suit, and it's sort of informing your choices and have, somewhat of a danger factor. So I want it to be mostly pure exploration, but I would like to have some kind of danger factors involved. Same thing with being submerged in water. I want them, to be, if it's an extended period of time, I want you to have to manage your oxygen, particularly in other levels where there might be extended submission or periods where you're submerged. So yeah, I got another person meditating here, and I kind of made it so that I think their flesh just turned into charcoal and melted. So yeah, probably a mature rating game, I would say, which is fine. I tend to like rated R movies and mature rating content. So yeah, got some cool frescoes going on here. And I definitely had to go and test all these rock assets, and I use a complex collision because the simple collision just would not really give you the same fidelity when you're trying to traverse all these little intricate rock faces. It does definitely add to the poly count, but factoring in everything, I made allowances for that to not disrupt the poly count too much. So it's still playable, and yeah. Give me just one moment. Alright, I'm going to continue where I left off. I just have 10 minutes of free recording per video on Bandicam, so at it. All right, so yeah, the lava material is kind of similar with the light function material. It has a panner effect. I can show you that as well. So I'll go ahead and kind of make my way towards the end of the level here. So yeah, I found that really neat lintel. I think that was actually taken from a Cambodian Buddhist temple. Here, these Chinese guardian lions or foo dog sculptures. I actually made these in ZBrush, so these are assets that I created myself as part of the previous portfolio class project. And then I attached the material. Actually, just used recycled material from from a Quixel scan, and I wanted to look really kind of eroded just from exposure to the acidic air and hydrogen sulfide and all that. So I figured these statues would be pretty eroded, even though the frescoes are pretty good condition. So I don't know, maybe I'll adjust it, but I think they turn out pretty scary looking. So I'll kind of make my way in. So here it gets kind of darker as the cavern is larger and your light source kind of gets diffused. But this was pretty kind of scary. So I have some sandstone rocks here, or you would assume either monks or devotees who died here. So let's see, I'll make my way across. So I got a skylight here, which looks like a rope there. So let's see if I can make my way over there. So again, I have kind of more of the water caustics amplified around here since you have the light source there. Let's see, I think I might have to go this way. And yeah, can definitely work on peppering in more artifacts, more eye candy. Foliage was definitely something I wanted to consider playing around with. Oops. Alright, let's see. So here, that's Kali herself, with the beheaded person. Just thought it was pretty creepy looking, of course. Let's see if I can jump over here. Bam. Then I got these skull assets on Unreal Marketplace. I thought they were cool. Blood splatter here. Campfire. And then here we go. So figure if you make it to the rope here, this is pretty much the end condition. So I just have like a quick and dirty little, you reach an escape rope, and hypothetically you would be able to just exit the level at this point. I don't know if I'd make you, physically climb up it. I guess that's a possibility too. Anyway, so that concludes the level walkthrough. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll now pivot to showing you. Here's just a bird's eye view of the level layout. So we kind of took just a right-hand view, or a right-hand path through this to get to the end. There is a left-hand path as well. So just for the sake of time, this room is also quite similar to, actually more similar to this room. It's got a deep pool, which is kind of cool, and it's got some pots kind of laying on the bottom of the pool. Otherwise, it just has frescoes on the sides, and then you can make your way through. Anyway, without further ado, I can start kind of showing you the swimming system, since I think that was the most involved part of this whole thing, was getting the swimming system to work properly. And to be honest, I don't know if I can give even a coherent full explanation. I will say that what happened? Oh, here it is. So this video by Gorka Games, how to make a swimming system in Unreal Engine 5. I mostly followed this pretty much to the T, and it was very helpful. I just had to source my own animations since he isn't very clear on where he found his animation. So that was another step, is to find a proper animation and then retarget that animation from UE4 mannequin to the UE5 skeleton. Anyway, I'll go back into Unreal. So first, you went to the third-person character blueprint. Well, I set up, this is like kind of a first-person camera view that's attached to the head, and I got a spotlight. So that's kind of just showing you how I set it up. So technically it's a third-person character. There's a capsule with the camera and spotlight attached to make it look like it's a first person. So under the event graph under the third-person character blueprint, this is kind of, well, this is the swimming system essentially. Is you make a custom event just named start swimming. You pull something, so you get the actor rotation, the up vector. This is, he recommended a factor 2. Not sure for the launch velocity. That might be something I can tweak to see if it looks better. That's kind of like once you jump in, it's like how fast you kind of submerge in. Yeah, and the rest of it I kind of just followed the tutorial. I know for sure, so this set capsule half height is important, because if you didn't have this half height here, it would look, your mannequin would, basically your player character would still be doing the swimming animations even though you have exited the water, and until your capsule fully exits the water, it's going to look like you're still swimming. So this is why I set, while you're swimming, the half height, I set it to a custom of only 30 rather than the full height of 90. So that way, when you just, it's a smaller capsule for when you get out of in and out of the water, it will go to the state of not swimming, and the post-process volume and everything is attached to that and will change. So yeah, so that was definitely one of the key things. So basically these are the character states. Let's see, I'll move to, so I went to the animation blueprint for Manny, which is, I actually used Quinn skeleton, which is the female version, but just parented from Manny. So you basically, there's no swimming state by default, so it just has these 3: locomotion, land. So you have to set up this swimming state here. So basically, it's like, are you or are you not swimming? So you just have to kind of go through and set those up. Probably not explaining this very well. Okay, so yeah, here's where, under the swimming state, you basically create a swimming custom blend space, and in the blend space itself, where I'll show you, is where you can drag in different animations for, say, if you want idle or swimming. I found this animation, it's a little bit, it's not perfect, like the hands kind of like shoot out that way, whereas I kind of wish the wrists were just pointed out the whole time. So it's decent. And that just about covers it, running to the end of the second 10-minute Bandicam. Anyway, let's see if there's anything else that comes to mind. I can quickly show you before I have time the lava material. Actually, let's see. Content, materials. Oops. And there you have it. All right, well, I'm out of time, but thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed.